What's going on, everybody? John Impemba here with Andrew Cooper. This is the Fantasy Alarm NFL Week 14 Game Day live stream. Coop, man, good to have you here. We got a lot to talk about today, and this is pressure week. This is the final regular season week in fantasy football before the playoffs for most leagues. I know everybody in our Discord right now looking to get into the playoffs. We've had a ton of start-sit questions already come into chat, so get in there, get in the live stream QA Discord, put your questions in there. Let Coop and I get you into the fantasy playoffs this week. Pressure's on, Coop, but I think you and I are up for the challenge.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock, man. And honestly, fantasy football for me, like, it never ends. Not even in the offseason, but if my teams are eliminated, I'm playing DFS. Like, I'm getting involved, man, because I love football. Like, we have to cherish these moments. You know what I mean? Just remember how it feels in February when it's like right after the Super Bowl and you're like, you're begging for the the free agency tampering period. So let's enjoy these football games. There's some great games today. I love how they're kind of packing the schedule. I mean, especially the NFC East, they're packing the end of the schedule with these divisional games, right? I think that the Washington schedule goes Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles. Like, I love that. You know what I mean? Slam it all in there. Let's get some good games going. Then playoffs. I mean, it's a football powder keg right now. So I love it.
Yeah, it is. A lot of close matchups. Plus, they added in that extra playoff spot this year. So there's more teams than ever that are in line to potentially make these games more meaningful, which I think is something that we're definitely looking into. We did get some interesting injury news, of course, throughout the week. We have Keenan Allen out this week due to COVID. That's going to open up some solid value plays in that Chargers offense as they face a bad Giants team who's actually getting a little bit healthier. Kenny Golladay and whatnot are going to be available to play for them. Deebo Samuel is going to be active after missing last week due to a groin injury. So it's good to have him back for those in lineups as well. Any other major injuries that you're tracking here? Again, I know we have quite a few guys that are questionable. Anything that kind of is notable to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's some tight end ones that are kind of rough. Hawkinson's out, Waller's out. You're gonna have to pivot there. I'm not going Brock Wright, but last week we said no Foster Moreau. This week, it's an all right matchup. They're gonna have to throw. We've seen him do well against bad tight end defenses, like against the Eagles, for instance. So he's on the radar. I have my tight end rankings up. You're gonna have to rule Hawkinson out, but there's some interesting things there. Ricky Seals-Jones, like I just mentioned, Cowboys, Eagles. Well, the Eagles are the very worst team versus the tight end. The Cowboys are bottom 10. Like, these are the league winner type situations. Like, Ricky Seals-Jones was sitting on waivers in one of my leagues, which unacceptable, really, that he was there. But I just went and picked him up off waivers for free. So go check your league. If you're not starting him, put him on your bench so that other people can't start him. Because, I mean, that's a guy that's in a perfect situation, right?
Yeah, for sure. What are we doing? Sorry, the cat's jumping all over the place here. What are we?
Dogs living together. It's crazy,
seriously, man. There's animals everywhere. You never know. She shuts off the computer on me sometimes. It's a terrible experience. Jets. Elijah Moore's out. Corey Davis is out. Obviously, that means that we have more interest in maybe somebody like a Jamison Crowder. But I'm also seeing that this is an opportunity where Denzel Mims or even Keelan Cole this week against the Saints. What are your thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, so Elijah Moore, kind of a brutal loss because he had 4 touchdowns the last 4 games. I mean, like, he was a guy you were starting to be able to depend on. So for me, I'm starting Jamison Crowder in real leagues if I need a guy. The rest of the guys, Denzel Mims, those guys, just DFS plays for me. Like, if you're, I mean, maybe if you're, it's like this week is pretty much a playoff week because you're either fighting for a playoff spot or you're already in and you don't care. So you kind of have to decide if you can lean on these guys or not. You know what I mean? So Mims, I know the players like him. I know he was sick at the beginning of the season, so you can't really judge him for that. But I just can't trust him. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I have some. I think it's obviously a GBP play, right? We're not really for DFS rather. If you're in seasonal, It's kind of a hard try. He played 36% of the offensive snaps last week. Keelan Cole, who was inactive last week with Corey Davis, Moore, and Mims active, he played 96% of the offensive snaps back in week 12 when Corey Davis, and Mims were both out of the lineup. Now with no Moore and no Davis, there's definitely an opportunity, I think, for Keelan Cole as maybe as a dart throw if you're really struggling to find somebody to put in your lineups this week, because at the very least there's garbage time potential in this one for the Jets, so something to look at there as well. J.D. Mckissick is out today. We talked a lot on the the Fantasy Alarm podcast that you and I had done this week. How Washington sort of turned around their season since they came out of the bye, and they've done so by running the football. We've seen Gibson have high volume usage now since coming out of the bye. They've won football games by having these long sustaining drives. They closed out Tampa with a 10-minute fourth quarter drive there. No McKissick only adds to the value of Gibson in the passing game. This season, in the last couple of games, his passing numbers have been great. What are your thoughts on this matchup for him today going up against Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, not only did they close out that Tampa Bay game with a 10-minute drive, but Antonio Gibson touched the ball 10 out of those 14 plays, whether it was like a quick dump off or a run. Like, they leaned into him hard, and that was while McKissick was healthy. So, again, it's a matter of game script. They might obviously, in this matchup where they're 6-point dogs, it's going to be tough to just run the ball all over these guys. But I think now they're realizing that's their best bet. So I'm definitely starting McKissick. I'm starting him in some DFS lineups. I think I'm starting him in the Baby Bowl, which is a league where you can only start one guy per week and then they're done. I didn't start McKissick all year or Antonio Gibson because they were splitting. But now I'm leaning into Gibson in this week because, this is a situation where they have to use him, Right. So I'm definitely on board with that. I'm definitely on board with Ricky Seals-Jones. I'm on board with McLaurin. And outside of that, not really touching a lot of these other guys for Washington.
How are you approaching the 49ers running back situation this week? Obviously, Eli Mitchell is out. We've seen a lot of reports regarding Jeff Wilson. We've seen reports around JaMycal Hasty, but now we also have Deebo Samuel, who is active and is expected to play. It's not officially active yet, but is expected to play today. And we, in the 2 games prior to his injury, Deebo actually getting more carries than he was targets in that 49ers offense. Do you have any interest in these 49ers running backs, especially in DFS where they're, pretty cheap values? I
mean, I'm always going to be interested in whoever the Washington running back is because this offensive line is amazing. I mean, Trent Williams, honestly, he's my pick for the offensive player of the year. I know he's never going to get the MVP, but he's having arguably the best season that we've seen from an offensive tackle. Like, the grading systems, like Pro Football Focus, things like that, like, they don't even know how to deal with this guy. You know what I mean? Because, like, his numbers are just not even close to anybody else. I think they have him as like a 98. You know what I mean? Like, It's like at a certain point when other people are letting up all these sacks, they're, not doing their job in the run game. His numbers are approaching 100, and they might have to, change the system for this guy. So for me, like, whoever the guy is, I'm interested. It's just in this situation this week, we don't know for sure. Next week, if Elijah Mitchell's out and we know who the guy is, that guy moves way up the rankings. That's the hard part about ranking these guys when you don't know, right? I mean, Are you starting anybody? Can you trust anybody?
It's hard to trust, especially given the the usage in that backfield, right? I mean, listen, we saw Wilson get 19 carries against Jacksonville. He didn't do anything with them, and Deebo was the one that got the touchdowns. Hasty's largely been used as the third down back when they've sort of had a healthy running back to carry the full workload. But if I remember correctly, I don't think Hasty was even active for that game against Jacksonville, so we didn't get an opportunity to see how that snap share would have played out with Wilson and Hasty both active together. So it's hard to tell, but then you're adding in that layer of Deebo, and we know how much they'd like to use him, but do they want to use him as a running back when he's coming off a groin injury, right? Like, there's that whole thing to throw into the equation. So it's hard to trust. I know if you're in a situation where you need a running back, you got to go ahead and likely play one of them, but just set your expectations here. I will say, again, maybe this plays better for Deebo, but Cincinnati, in terms of allowing receptions to their running backs, they allowed either the most or it was the second most going into last week receptions to the running back position. It was only like one less than Seattle. I don't have that number fully in front of me if they had been overtaken or not by Seattle last week in terms of allowing receptions to the running back position here, but something to pay attention to. Yeah, they're back in the lead. 88 receptions allowed to the running back spot. So
I was gonna say, this is not a team that like can sit back and just say, "Oh, let's let him get healthy." I mean, they're 6-6 right now. Now is the time. With the new playoff format, you can get in, especially with the extra game. I mean, like, I think a team probably will make the playoffs at 8-9 or something like that. You know what I mean? 9-8. Like you have to go all out if you're this team. You can't sit back like the Cardinals and say, "Oh, let's let everybody get healthy. We're 10-2." So I think that I definitely could see them using Debo in full and using him in the red zone if they think he's the best player for the job, and he kind of has been. So
yeah, what do you think on the return of Julio Jones? It's a question we've seen a lot of in Discord today. And again, we're going to get to your Discord questions. If you're not yet in the Discord, check it out. Fantasy Alarm subscriber, Discord only members, get in there, get your questions into our live stream QA channel, and get your get access to your questions. If you're not yet a subscriber, we do have our holiday package still going on, fantasyalarm.com/holiday. It's one payment, no payments again until 2023. It's our season-long package. Get access to everything, all sports. 12, I think it's 12 plus sports. We killed it in MMA last night. Mike Alexander, wild MMA card. He had a fantastic playbook out there. Of course, NBA, NHL, MLB is coming up, NFL, you name it, we got it. So make sure you check out the holiday package if you're not yet a member. No better time to join now, Coop. Help us let you get into the playoffs. So back to Julio.
And follow at Roto _Juan WAN. That's Mike Alexander. I mean, like the thing that we do at Fantasy Alarm is we have specialists. You know what I mean? You have me and Howard doing tight ends. You have Mike is so good at UFC. Matt Sells is the back-to-back 2-time writer of the year for NASCAR. Impemba does everything, but I appreciate his quarterback stuff, especially because I'm terrible at that, man. But it's like we have guys.
You trade info. You
exactly, man. And if you join the family, man, you get in the fold. It's like we do our best to specialize. So get in there. This deal is ridiculous. You get the rest of this year and all the way through 2023. Crazy. So get in there with us.
Yeah. So Julio, what are your thoughts here?
And I mean, there's no player that has a lower floor. I mean, the floor is 0, right? Like the floor is 0, but the ceiling is huge. I mean, here has a game with 130 yards this year, and we've seen this guy have 200 yards. I mean, like I watch the clips, like the clips are so misleading on, they show like the workout clips. Like I see him like running routes and stuff, and I'm like, dude, this guy is a freakazoid. You know what I mean? Like he made arguably the best catch I've ever seen in the playoffs. I mean, the Super Bowl against us, it would have been probably one of the greatest catches of all time had they won the game. A catch that only, in my mind, maybe 3 people can make. Him, Calvin Johnson, and maybe prime AJ Green. Like you need the size and speed. Like this guy's a specimen. So if you're in a situation where you are the underdog and you need a huge play, put him in there. But if you're in a situation where you just need somebody to score a couple points and you can't possibly take a 0, Julio Jones is definitely a guy that at any moment his day could be done. So.
I agree. We're getting word that Tony Pollard is officially inactive for today. He has the torn plantar fascia in his foot. Where are your thoughts here with Ezekiel Elliott? We know that he has been somebody that has been dealing with injuries of his own, and now he's going up against Washington. A tough front. I mean, I know they're without Chase, who's their best defensive lineman, but do you have any interest here in Zeke? And who's the guy behind them, right? Like somebody has to pick up the slack.
So they signed Ito Smith. I'm going to check right now. I don't know if they actually activated him, though, if they elevated him from the practice squad. Did they? I know they signed him.
I haven't seen that information. I guess we can go ahead and certainly look that up. But
we'll check it out.
That's what I'm interested in, right? Because Zeke has been dealing with problems of his own. That's something that you have to at least wonder. Are they gonna run him heavy today against Washington? It seems unlikely. But if all they have is Ito Smith, who is the guy they signed to their practice squad this week, that's certainly something to wonder, right? They're not going to give Ito Smith a big workload. So, what is your thoughts here on that offense with no Pollard? Because, as much as you and I have talked up Zeke, clearly he's been injured since that Patriots game when he kind of landed on that pylon and then he, hurt himself again a little bit after that. He hasn't been 100%. But now they don't have the backup there. So is it just a big Dak day? Do you trust, that passing offense against Washington instead more?
I mean, Washington, they're not a good pass defense. I mean, I don't know where they rank in DVOA, but I know that they were letting up for quite a time. They have the most yards against the pass, right? So I imagine they lean into that. I mean, this situation with the Cowboys is one of the ones where it's like, this is why you need checks and balances within your organization, right? Because Jerry Jones paid this guy a lot of money. He wants to see him play. Zeke is if you see the comments from him, he's like, I'm playing no matter what. Like,
Right.
I'm going to grind it out. Like, it's not going to get worse. And they asked him, they're like, oh, well, he's like, oh, I'll be healthy in 2 to 3 weeks. And they're like, what do you think about that? And he's like, perfect time for playoffs. It's like, this guy, he's going to play. You know what I mean? So it's like, you need doctors in that group saying, okay, you're either playing or not. If they're saying that this guy's going to play, I don't think they alter the game plan. They haven't yet. I mean, like,
Right.
if they haven't before and they're saying that it's slowly getting better, I mean, I think they just end up leaning on the guy. I don't think they're going to change the play calling, but again, it's not pretty to watch. I mean, as a big Zeke fan, like, to see the way he ends some of these plays limping out of bounds and then he goes right back in the huddle,
Right.
it has been confusing, I will say. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, if Ito Smith is not even activated, I don't think they have much else depth chart wise. So I'm starting Zeke everywhere I have him because, I mean, the guy's a baller,
Yeah. Our producer here is letting me know that Jacquan Hardy was the one activated from the practice squad today as the backup to Zeke. So Ito Smith, at least not yet, brought up as that. But
Nice.
this is Jacquan Hardy. He played at Tiffin University. Don't know much about that. He was an undrafted free agent this past season. So.
You're saying a bunch of words I've never heard before right now.
Yeah, no, he played in the GMAC, which I'm guessing is probably like a D2 school. So, but he was it's like the all-time leading rusher in the GMAC. So, good. Hey, you know what? Listen, Danny Woodhead played at some college nobody ever heard of either. And he was a good running back. So you never know, right? Anyways,
Jaquan with a capital Q. I got it up now. There you go.
We've spent more time talking about Jacquan Hardy than we should have ever. So let's get into our Discord. We got some people's seasons to save and getting them into the playoffs here. So again, if you're watching now, go to the Fantasy Alarm Discord, get into the live stream QA channel, get us your questions because we're gonna start rapid fire through them right now. Starting with a question here, just the other night, Coop. He needs one tight end, PPR, Foster Moreau, or Austin Hooper.
I'm going with Austin Hooper because the thing with Austin Hooper that we didn't like, you know what I mean? And I wrote about every week in the Snap Count article was that he was splitting with David Njoku and Harrison Bryant to a certain degree. So he would, they would throw if games where they threw 40 times, he'd only run 20 routes. When they throw 30 times, he'd run 15. And it was split that way. You can't split that way now, So I think they do use the backup tight end. I think his name is Forrestall, something like that. I think they're going to use an extra lineman a lot of times. So I think the backup tackle is going to play a good chunk, like we saw with the Patriots, like we saw with the Vikings. But I think that Austin Hooper is in a situation where he's going to be a focal point of this offense. And, we've seen him do it. I mean, on the Falcons, we saw him do it as, behind Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. He was a top 6 tight end, right? So we know this guy can play. It's just a matter of if your boy Baker Mayfield can deliver him the ball. I know that every time we bring up that name with you, John, the hairs raise on your arms, but
he's so bad. He's so bad. But is that matchup against Baltimore, right?
It's Baltimore.
Yeah. I think we've come down a little bit on the, is Baltimore so bad because of the tight ends they faced, or is it still that case for you?
So that's the thing that was so weird because they started the season with the murderer's row of tight ends. Like, you name it, it reads like a top 10 list. I'm pretty sure it was like they started off Kelsey, Waller, Hawkinson. I think Fant was in there. Like, it was just brutal, right? And then right after that, they let up 2 touchdowns to CJ Uzoma. And if you go back and look at it, it was just blown coverage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that the numbers got inflated, but I mean, since then they've had a couple games where they bottled the tight end up a little bit. I know, Patrick Queen's a beast, but I think it still is a reasonable matchup. Like, you don't end up that far down the list, if you're decent against the tight end. You know what I mean? Like, even the Patriots are good defense versus tight end. They've actually never let Travis Kelce get 100 yards against them, and they've only let him get in his entire career, and they've only let him get over 70 yards one time. And we're talking about the Patriots, like, since 2018 haven't let up 100 yards to the tight end. So to me, like, there's certain teams that can do it, certain teams that can't. Like, clearly the Ravens don't really know how to bottle the tight end up. So I think that Hooper's about as safe a start as you can get.
All right. Next question that we have here. They want to know PPR flex. You got Melvin Gordon, questionable still against Detroit, Jeff Wilson against Cincinnati, or Russell Gage against Carolina.
Good Lord, man. That is that's a pretty serious situation there.
It is.
I honestly think that I can, at this point, I'm pretty willing to trust Russell Gage.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, where does Stephon Gilmore go? That's the gamble, right? Does he?
Yeah.
I see them putting him mostly on Pitts,
I was
right?
gonna say you got to think he goes on Pitts, right? Because that's what teams
Yeah,
have been doing. They've basically just been shutting down Gilmore. I mean, shutting
right.
down Pitts and making them go up against somebody else.
Right. And I talked about this in my last week's Coop Scoops, right? Where it's like you got to look at your matchup and decide like if you need that Hail Mary big play. Like if you look at your guys and they score, this guy's gonna score 10 points and you're gonna lose whether he scores 0 or 10, then you go for Russell Gage. If you just need somebody that's not gonna get you a 0, Melvin Gordon. But I mean, they're gonna split, right? Like it's the ceiling isn't like there's no situation where they just say today we're gonna give Melvin 20 carries. Right. So that it's a low ceiling play. And then with Shanahan, you have no idea. It could be Jeff Wilson, it could be Deebo Samuel, it could be anybody on that team because that's what Shanahan does. So again, it's like it's a risk versus reward thing. I think Russell Gage is probably the safest bet, and he also has pretty good upside.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you wanted to go the running backs, I think you're in a situation, where it's just like you said, it's just a lot of risk involved with the. We don't know how the 49ers are really going to handle, that backfield. And that's certainly a concern for me. But at the very least, if you did want to sort of take that approach, both teams do play in the 4:00 hour. So, if you wanted to wait out the Melvin Gordon news and then pivot to Wilson if he's out, you could, or you could play Melvin against Detroit. I've kind of gone back and forth with some people on this one. After Javonte had that monster game last week, even if Melvin Gordon was active, would they start leaning more Javonte Williams? I've said nothing's really ever shown that to be the case. I know Gordon hasn't missed a game yet, but whenever Gordon's been healthy, he's been the lead back. That being said, both have elite matchups against the Lions. So, if you felt more comfortable with the running backs than going Gage, then you can at least wait till the 4:00 hour to figure out what's going on with Melvin Gordon there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. The thing is, it's like the way I look at it now, some people are saying you can't put Javonte back in the bottle, but I think this team wants to use 2 running backs. But like I said, there is a situation where they just lean on Javonte because Melvin's banged up. There's no situation where they just go full Melvin unless Javonte gets hurt in the second play of the game. So, I'm going Gage here just to play, just to be safe.
That's fine. Nixie wants to know in a PPR needs 2. MBS, Sony Michel, and I'm assuming this is David Montgomery. So Valdez-Scantling, Sony Michel, David Montgomery need 2 in a PPR.
I mean, to me, you need 1 because you're definitely starting Sony Michel, right? I mean, with Henderson out, I mean, he looked great last week. He got the full role, which is, that's what we were expecting when the Patriots, right before they traded him, they threw him the ball 5 times in that preseason game, which they never do. So I think the Rams basically said, hey, show us this guy can catch during game situations, and he did. And last week, he killed it. So I'm definitely going Sony, and I think I'm going David Montgomery. We desperately, for years now, all we've wanted from the Packers is a second guy that can catch the ball, right? Besides Devontae Adams and MVS, I think he had 10 targets and then 9. But at the same time, there's still that, that feeling that you get where maybe it was a bit of a mirage, So I think I'm going Sony and Montgomery. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I lean a little bit the running backs. The one question now is with Fields back, what does that do to that offense for Chicago? Do they run more RPOs? Is that good for Montgomery? Are they going to throw to him at all if it's now Fields instead of Dalton back there? But there's a high likelihood for a blowout in this game. I think it's like a 12 or 13 point spread. So I don't know if we're going to see that volume to MVS because they're not going to need to throw as much as they had in the prior week. So I'm going to lean the running back with you here as well. You'll score if, MVS and Rodgers connect on one of their big downfield plays, but I don't think we're going to see that volume like you said he has been seeing because this one just doesn't feel like that competitive of a game there. So I'm with you. I mean, that's probably the direction that I'm going to go here as well. Big Daddy Lewis here, half PPR, Mike Williams or Darnell Mooney this week.
Jeez. I mean, so with the Fields thing, especially with Montgomery, I mean, Fields is coming back from ribs. And anytime people say bruised ribs, what that typically means is torn cartilage because like the bruise on the bone isn't the problem. It's the pain that comes along with that. So I really don't, I can't see Justin Fields running the ball 10 times today coming off that particular injury, So I mean, I think we got to go Mike Williams, though, right? I mean,
yeah, you got to play Williams. Listen, again, this is a game where I think many are expecting the Chargers to be ahead big, and at some point they're going to turn this game over to Eckler. But before then, Mike Williams is going to be the guy. Now he's going to get James Bradbury defense. So like
Bradbury, yeah.
So it all depends on how much you factor that in to these matchups. It's not Williams isn't exactly the most adept route runner. Is more downfield, posts and stuff like that. So he's just going to have to beat, I think, Bradbury in a lot of these routes. But in terms of target share and matchup, like you got to think Williams is going to be the guy this week.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that Moon. I know Allen Robinson's back, but I mean Mooney's going to see some Jair Alexander too, so it's going to be a little dicey.
Probably. Yeah, and Robinson's hasn't been. It would be wild if Robinson comes back all of a sudden. Though, if you do remember, they did connect on that big play that he got hurt on.
That's true. So, yeah.
That's something to look at there. Another league that he needs 2 wide receivers. He's got Mooney, MVS, DJ Moore, or he could pick up Jamison Crowder. He's like, would you drop Elijah to get him on rosters after Luck? No, Elijah is out for the year, I believe. He went on IR. So
you went on IR, yeah. So
yeah.
It would be insane for them to bring him back for the one. In the very last game or whatever it is. So.
Yeah. Would you pick up Jamison Crowder this week over Darnell Mooney, MVS, DJ Moore? They need 2.
No, I don't think I would. So I think I'm starting DJ Moore for sure. Yeah. DJ Moore is very squarely within my top 10 wide receivers this week.
Especially with no CMC. I mean, that's he's already getting double-digit targets, but he could see even more today.
Against Atlanta, I mean, it's the Atlanta doesn't really have the assets to take guys away. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of trying to float. So I think DJ Moore you start for sure. Of the others, I think I do like. Man, that is a tough one. I think I do like Mooney. Let me just double check how I have these guys ranked.
Sure. I think I would almost like to pick up. Truthfully, I would like to pick up Crowder. I think and start Crowder over Mooney and MBS, but I could see. I could see the path to probably Mooney over MVS because if they're going to be behind, they're going to have to throw. And Mooney's been a big play. But I would rather Crowder, I think, than MVS moving forward, just given the injuries there.
Yeah, I think honestly, if this is a half PPR as well, if this is any sort of, if this is a full PPR, I'm picking up Crowder and I'm starting him. I mean, I'm definitely dropping Elijah Moore.
It's a half PPR, but he's got a good matchup still. He's not going to see Lattimore. Lattimore's not going to play out of the slot there. So
I go DJ Moore and Crowder. I think I would do it. I think it's close enough. Not to mention, honestly, fantasy football is supposed to be fun, and picking up a guy off waivers and plugging him into your lineup, if that guy does well, it's a good feeling, So I would go for it when it's that close,
I agree with you on that one as well. So go Crowder and Darnell. And DJ Moore. Their big daddy. Need 3 in a PPR. Sony Michel. A lot of people got Darnell Mooney. Sony Michel, Darnell Mooney, Jerry Jeudy, Van Jefferson, and MVS needs 3 of that group.
Well, I'm definitely starting Sony Michel.
Yeah.
And I do like Jerry Jeudy this week. So personally, I like Jeudy in this matchup. Of the rest of those guys, I think, we've been leaning Mooney. But I guess right now we got to kind of set the line, John. Darnell Mooney or MVS. Like if these are the questions that we're going to get all day today,
I'm going to go Mooney. I'm going to go Mooney over MVS.
I'm going Mooney as well. Yes.
Yeah,
so
Mooney over
if you've been thinking about that, that's the way to go. So so Michelle, Mooney, Jeudy. It's got a nice ring to it.
It does. It definitely has a nice ring to it. So that's the direction I think we're going to be looking to go today. In that game. So next question that we have: do we like Donta Foreman or Christian Kirk in a half PPR this week?
So I think that I'm going to lean with Donta Foreman. He's been getting the bulk of the work. Dontrell Hilliard, if you look at the numbers, it looks great, but this was against our Patriots here, so we had a bird's eye view at this. He really just had the one big run that the bulk of his yards.
It's Donta Foreman, not Dontrell Hilliard.
Well, I'm saying like Foreman versus Hilliard, because that's the question. Sure. Foreman versus. Yeah. If there was no Hilliard, then we wouldn't have this question on our screen.
Right. And McNichols is back this week as well. So
okay, that's interesting. I mean, so this week in my what I'm looking for article, I talked about, and also in Coop Scoop, I talked about this is the week like right before playoffs where we need to know who we can trust or not. Right, like the floor is lava moving forward. You can't be taking zeros, and Christian Kirk is one of the guys that's 100% on that. He's a guy that this week I'm focusing on in any leagues I have, whether I'm starting him or not, because moving forward, you got to decide if you trust this guy or not. And
Right.
I'm not quite sure we can. That's the problem. And I'm a big Christian Kirk guy. It's just he's capable of having one catch, and that'll kill you. You know what I mean? Like if you have one guy get 25 points and this guy gets one, it's like basically you just started two mediocre players. So you can't be having a guy give you that kind of performance. So for me, I'm probably starting Foreman, and watching Kirk real close because the floor is scary for that guy.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely scary. So, the one thing I think with to speak on with the McNichols thing is I think he cuts more into Hilliard than Foreman. But there's also potential where they just have McNichols on the field, right? Like he is the sort of the pass catching change of pace back, but he's out there the majority of the time in that role, than them grinding it down. But I think if they go ahead and get up in this game like they're supposed to be, Foreman gets a lot of that groundwork. So with it only being a half PPR, I probably lean Foreman over Kirk here.
Yeah. I mean, there's 8. What's the spread on this game? Is it 10? Something like that?
I thought it was 8, but it could have changed. Let me
8. It opened at 11. It's 8.5 now, but I mean 8.5.
Yeah.
Like you got to imagine that the guy touches the ball at least a minimum 10 times on 10, 15 times. So right. I'll take that floor versus a guy like Christian Kirk, who last week caught one pass, and he's done it before as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Next question that we got here: need 2 in a PPR. Michelle, Freeman, Judy, or Van Jefferson?
I'm starting Sony Michel and Javonte Freeman. Freeman played 51 snaps last week.
Yeah.
51 on the Ravens, who don't even like using anyone that many times. Like it's his job. So I'm just going that's safe. That's just a super safe setup. Michel and Freeman, and feel good. And Laser Boone, you did a good job. You know what I mean? Because that's the difference between guys that win guys that have good drafts versus guys that win leagues. Like no one drafted these 2 players, Michel and Freeman. Like you did a good job getting those guys on your team. Use them.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100% on that one as well. Next question that we got here: Javonte Williams or Chuba Hubbard? Also need a flex play: Jamar Chase or Mike Williams in a PPR.
From Winter Ale, dude. Shout out Sam Adams, dude, the hometown brew. I don't trust. Me and John talked about this off air, but I'm a little concerned that Amir Abdullah is going to play some pass snaps. I mean, he played a ton last week when CMC went down, which is a little scary. So I'm going to go Javonte Williams, and then I do like Jamar Chase, especially with T. Higgins is banged up. He didn't really get a full practice in, so I think I like Chase. What do you think, John? You could flip any of those?
Yeah, I'm going to go Chase here as well. I think just the upside could be higher. I'll say. I feel like he should have had that touchdown last week, but he bobbled it and literally just gave it to the cornerback there. It's hard to fade Mike Williams given the circumstance. I mean, listen, last year when Keenan Allen went out, Williams had some big games, but it's do they go up big? And if they go up big and Mike Williams isn't the reason that they're going up big, then what is his ceiling versus Chase in a matchup which should be a little bit more competitive against San Francisco? So it's tough. I'm going to go Chase. Where did you go with this running back situation? Did you go Williams or Hubbard?
I went Williams, yeah, because I just,
the Cam Newton thing scares me off, Chuba. So
Cam, Amir Abdullah on pass downs, Javonte Williams, we talked about it. Like, there's a better chance that he gets more than 50% of the touches than he gets less.
I agree. Yep. Need 2 of 3: Judy, Van Jefferson, Dawson Knox. He is already starting Diggs.
Damn, this is a great week for Dawson Knox. I imagine you have another good tight end if this is the question. I'm probably personally starting Judy, and then it's Jefferson or Knox. That's such a tough one because this is the best matchup that you're going to get rest of the season for Knox. So if you're not going to start Knox this week, I don't know when you're going to.
Right.
I think I would start Judy and Knox this week. I mean, what do you think, John? Jefferson's been pretty consistent. He's also pretty consistently
Jefferson's been good. He's been good even with OBJ. They're connecting on big plays, and this is a game against Arizona where you think they're going to have to go back and forth and it'd be rather a competitive matchup. So I'm with you. I do like Van Jefferson. I do.
Yeah. All right. Bench the tight end. Bench Knox. I know it sucks, but I mean, it's just.
Well, who are you starting? You're starting Judy, huh?
I like Judy, man. Dude, if you would start Jefferson and Knox, I mean, the thing about Jefferson, man, if he had didn't have any drops this year,
Yeah.
he'd probably be a wide receiver one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just this guy dropped 5 passes over the course of 2 weeks.
So
Like,
what is it? What is it about Judy that you're in on this week?
it's a good matchup. I mean, he's a good. It's the Lions. I guess they could just run all over the Lions.
Well, so that's where I'm at, right? Like, are they going to have to throw in this game, and are they going to have to throw enough? Now, I mean, he could score and a touchdown and not have the volume, but this doesn't feel like a game like last week against the Chiefs where they were kind of playing from behind and he had the 4 for 77. It could be more like the Chargers game where they're well in hand in this one. He had 2 for 25. It wasn't overly competitive for them. They have both running backs back and they just run the football, and that's my worry. For me, the fact that it is Teddy Bridgewater and it is that offense that wants to run the football, it just feels like he has such a low floor where, and we're looking at a game, a competitive divisional matchup between the Rams and between the Cardinals this week. It has a high game total. It's supposed to be close. Like, I see them throwing a lot more in this game. So for me, it's Jefferson and Knox.
You talked me into it. Jefferson and Knox. I mean, Knox, like, coming off last week, you can't judge him based on last week. And the fact that he got 6 targets against one of the best tight end defenses in the snow and rain is actually in his favor. You know what I mean? Like, right. That's more targets than I thought he was going to get against what is an amazing football team.
What was the one that we've talked about him all season long? You're talking about Jefferson, right? Did I hear that correctly?
I was saying that Dawson Knox did.
Dawson Knox. Okay.
Jefferson has gotten what I think 7, 9, 8.
Yeah.
Like, he's getting
even when
targets.
Robert Woods was healthy.
He's just not catching them. But
healthy, he was out there for 95% of the snaps, getting 6-7 targets. So
right.
OBJ hasn't come in and done anything to hurt that. And OBJ could be a little bit still banged up himself. So
and I think Knox is a top 6 or so tight end in red zone looks, and he missed a big chunk of the season. So, all right, Jefferson and Knox, we talked it out. This is why this is important. And it's good to get your questions in there because other people could be looking at these, and you hear what we're saying. You might say, "Oh, you know what? I listened to you guys talk it out, and I decided I like Judy." You know what I mean? Like, in the end, you got to start. He's a safe play, but Jefferson and Knox definitely have a higher ceiling. So I think you're right. Those are the guys.
Lasers got a half PPR, needs a 1 receiver and 1 flex play. Chuba Hubbard, Dontrell Hilliard, Higgins. I'm assuming that's T. Higgins, Darnell Mooney, Michael Gallup, and Van Jefferson.
Man, a healthy Higgins I would like here, but it's geez, man. I think that.
I kind of like Gallup. I do.
Yeah, I think Gallup and Jefferson are probably the safe plays there. I mean, Mooney or Jefferson. What do you think there, John?
I'm gonna go Jefferson. I'm gonna go Jefferson over Mooney.
What's the recent injury update on Higgins? He really didn't play most of the week.
He didn't practice much. Yeah, I'm gonna see if we have anything updated on T. Higgins here. I thought he was probably expected to play based off report I saw, but I'm gonna pull it up. Yeah, expected to play per Ian Rappaport. Dealt with an ankle injury. Though the other one thing, and I guess everything's okay with Burrow, but he did have that hand injury last week. So, but it's a good matchup against San Francisco, and Higgins isn't playing well. So, yeah, I'm gonna go Higgins in that one, and I'm gonna go Van Jefferson. Sorry, Higgins and Gallup. And then if Higgins doesn't play, you can play Van Jefferson because it's the time difference there.
Yeah, I'm there with you, man. I mean, the Higgins has been too good that if he's playing, you can't bench him. So.
Yep. Hollywood Brown, a Chuba Hubbard, and a PPR.
I'm going Hollywood. I mean, he's playing more snaps than anyone else on that team, even more than Mark Andrews at times. No other wide receiver. They clearly have separated him from the wide receiver group in terms of usage. So I like him a lot. Chuba, again, I'm a little worried about Amir Abdullah and just what they want to do there. Obviously, Cam Newton is a concern too. So
yep. Speaking of Cam Newton or Taysom Hill today?
Taysom Hill wasn't even good at throwing the ball before he broke his finger. So I'm not exactly sure what people are expecting out of Taysom Hill. They're missing at least Ryan Ramczyk. Is Teron Armstead playing today? I mean,
I think what people are looking at is that it doesn't matter if he broke his finger because he threw 4 interceptions last week and still had 27 fantasy points because he ran for 101 yards. and now they're going up against the Jets. So
they are getting Teron Armstead back, but they're also getting Alvin Kamara back. So I mean, I don't know if he runs as much. I mean, what do you think, John? You're the QB guy. I should have just asked you.
I'm still gonna lean Taysom here. I think over Cam Newton, but I can see what you're saying. I feel like if the finger was really that big of a problem, he probably wouldn't have been active today. So
yeah, I mean, right. It's a situation where they were already a little wishy-washy on the quarterback as it was before. So I mean, but yeah, 100 yards rushing is a game changer for your quarterback.
Yeah, they're not playing Taysom Hill because he's Drew Brees. They're playing Taysom Hill to go RPO and things like that, and it's the Jets. So I think you're going to go Hill this week.
Yep.
PPR, Higbee or Pitts?
Pitts. Next question.
Yeah, I figured that was an easy one for you. Would you drop the Dolphins defense to block your opponent from getting RSJ? I mean, if they have no tight end and RSJ is available, sure. I mean, play defense, man. Yeah.
His schedule is so good. RSJ's. I mean, these are the questions that it depends what your other defense is. You know what I mean? Like, if you were gonna start the Dolphins for your own team next week, then keep the Dolphins. If it's a question, if it's a 50-50 and you have a defense that's just as good that you're fine starting, then make the defensive play. But always focus on your lineup first and foremost.
Yep, so. I agree with you on that one as well. PPR, Van Jefferson or Renfro? I'm going Renfro on this one.
Renfro, man. I mean, he's we talked about this Coop Scoops. I talked about focal points versus ancillary pieces. To me, before the season, I had Renfro ranked low because I thought he was an ancillary part of this offense. And it turns out that, especially now, he is the focal point of the offense. With third down, when they need to play, this is the guy they go to. So Renfro for sure.
Yep. Let's see. Next question. The same guys, different question. Need 3: Julio Jones, Kenny Golladay, Odell Beckham Jr., Van Jefferson. Which one are you sitting?
Oh my goodness. I'm definitely I can't trust Kenny Golladay.
I was gonna say you got to sit Kenny Golladay.
He's just been so brutally not good.
And I mean, Glennon or Fromm, I think, right, throwing the football. I don't know if Glennon was active or not, but
I think last I heard it was going to be Glennon. I mean, too, if you're a Lions fan, at least you can rejoice in the fact that you're getting probably a third round pick, a third round compensatory pick for them signing Kenny Golladay to that contract. So I mean, good Lord. So I think I'm going Julio, Beckham, Van Jefferson, even though they're on the same team.
I agree with you. We need a half-point PPR flex play. Tim Patrick, Hasty, or Crowder.
I mean, I can't trust Hasty as far as I can throw him. I think we had a situation earlier this year where Hasty was supposed to be the guy and he wasn't. So I kind of like Jameson Crowder. What do you think, John?
Yeah, Crowder, 100%. That one's an easy one for me. I saw that about David Johnson on COVID IR. That leaves Rex Burkhead as like the lone running back. I think they're in Houston today against Seattle. I mean, I don't have much interest there. Seattle's defense is not very good. Mills may be more likely to dump it down to Burkhead than who am I missing? What was the quarterback there? Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor, yeah.
I mean, maybe Burkhead could have some value, but Houston is just so bad. They're just so bad.
Oh, bad, man.
I don't really want to go there.
I think they're 10. The Seattle's been pretty bad, and I think they're like 9 or 10 point dogs, man. Like, not good for Houston.
Yeah, I agree. Melvin Gordon or James Robinson today?
I'm going James Robinson, and specifically because of I know media and everybody was, saying, why is James Robinson bench the whole thing? But the moment Trevor Lawrence came out and said, I spoke to the coaches and I want James Robinson on the field, and we're all in agreement and we all have a mutual understanding, I think that pretty much tells us all we need to know about how much James Robinson is going to play. So I think the whole thing about Carlos Hyde playing more snaps than Robinson, I just feel like it would be a slap in the face to Trevor Lawrence. I mean, maybe they do it to teach him a lesson, but he came out and told the media that I talked to the coaches and I want James Robinson on the field. So if James Robinson doesn't play, then Trevor Lawrence just basically said that I thought this one thing and I was wrong. So I mean, like, I just feel like there's no way they turn around and throw Trevor under the bus like that. I think James Robinson plays 60-70% of snaps easily today.
If Robinson doesn't play or is benched before halftime, I can see a situation like Varsity Blues where they don't come out of the locker room and Urban Meyer walks out there like cheering everybody on by himself, and then they kick him out. So
it's just going to be the players that played for him at Ohio State.
Yeah,
it's going to be Marvin.
exactly.
It's going to be Marvin Jones and Carlos Hyde and like Tavon Austin out there, and nobody else comes out.
Yeah, exactly. R.I.P. Paul Walker.
Yeah.
So that could certainly be. I mean, listen, there's no way Urban Meyer lasts until next year. Like he might finish the year, but I think he's done. I think
and he's going to go to back to college and get $10 million, and exactly. It's going to be just fine for him. So I wouldn't shed it.
We shouldn't throw a pity party for Urban Meyer, but
Urban Meyer can be just fine. Yeah,
he's going to be just fine. Saints, Seahawks, or Cardinals for defense today? Saints versus Jets, Seahawks versus Houston. As much as I like the Cardinals, can't play them versus the Rams. So it's a Saints or Seahawks question for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like, you always with defense, it's so tough because you have to check your own scoring. Like, I've been in leagues before where like points scored against you didn't matter as much as sacks, and I've been in leagues where like sacks and interceptions were 1 point, and all that mattered was the points, right? But assuming it's a normal league where there's a normal amount of balance, I'm starting the Saints against the Jets. Demario Davis, the Saints defense has never been the problem for that team. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it hasn't. And Zach Wilson, before his injury, was on pace to lead the league in interceptions this season. And now he's without his top 2 receivers, if you consider Davis and Moore to be those guys. And no Tevin Coleman either. This is not looking good for the Jets today for sure. Full PPR, need a 2 flex and a receiver. Chuba Hubbard, Jamar Chase, Metcalf, Cordarrelle Patterson, Hunter Renfrow, and Van Jefferson. Man, you got a nice little team you got there.
Yeah.
I think you're definitely playing Chase and Metcalf. So the question becomes Renfrow or Patterson for you. It's a full PPR.
Jeez, man. That's tough because Patterson has just been on another level, man. Is he like, I'm surprised the league hasn't drug tested him.
Carolina's 20th in DVOA against the run. I know Patterson has certainly taken on a little bit more of a receiver role at times this year, especially of late with Ridley out. And he did have a receiving touchdown against Carolina earlier this year. But man, Hunter Renfrow, back to back,
so safe. He's so safe, right?
Against Kansas City, the volumes there. He had over 100 yards last week. I think I got to go Renfrow. It's tough to sit Cordarrelle because the explosiveness that he has, but probably going to go Renfrow for a full PPR. So Chase, Metcalf, and Renfrow for me.
I mean, think about Renfrow, right? Like, look at these targets. Now, this is his whole season: 9, 7, 6, 8, 8, 5, 8, 9, 9, 4, 9, 10. Like, this guy is dropping 9 spots. Like, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of his last 6 games, he's got 8 or more targets. Like, you can't go away from that guy in PPR. So Renfrow, get him in there.
Yep, I agree with you on that one. Ferry, I think is how you say it. Sorry if you missed that answer earlier. We went Taysom Hill over at Cam Newton. Hopefully you're watching. That's definitely Brunch gets it. Brunch gets it. I love Brunch. Giving us the
cheers to Brunch. I think everyone likes a good brunch, right?
Giving us the Varsity Blues pick there. He also has a question. Pick one: AJ Green, Julio Jones, or Courtney Sutton today.
AJ Green, Julio Jones, or Courtney Sutton is killing me, man. Just on a personal, I know I don't usually talk about my own leagues, man, but I was sold on Sutton, man. He's been, I've seen him do it, and it's not it this year, So AJ Green,
it's Julio for me.
Yeah, it's Julio. You got to go Julio. He's got the upside. AJ Green is just. Zach Ertz ran more routes than him last week. I know they ran it a bunch, but like, you want to see him running the second most routes to Hopkins to even be in consideration, and he didn't. And now, is Ertz out today? Is he playing today?
He was questionable, I saw. I don't know. We haven't got that official inactives for him, obviously. I don't think he was.
Wait, no, the inactives got to be up. Should we hit some inactives?
Yeah, hit the inactives. Yeah. But I'm saying they play later, so his inactives wouldn't be there. But yeah, go over the inactives.
All right, let's get another question up while I pull it up.
All right, we got a question here. PPR Hasty I don't even know how to pronounce the Detroit guy's names. Igwebuki, maybe, or Penny. Probably
That's
Penny of that group, but it's like gross, Gary, and I'm sorry.
I think the coaching staff
Peterson's
came out
today, by the way. So
yes, I think the coaching staff came out and said that they like that Penny's going to get a good workload today. Yeah. So I do like Penny of that crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the football a little bit as well. So.
Hey, so we got the inactives. David Njoku is active.
Okay. You sure?
No, he's inactive. Why is he not listed on this? Oh, maybe they put him on.
Maybe because he's on the COVID IR?
He's on IR. Yeah. So Harrison Bryant, they just put on the inactive list, I guess. Let's see. What's important here? Mckissick inactive, we knew. Tony Pollard, we knew. Darren Waller inactive. Ooh, Carl Nassib. I didn't know that he was out. Jerry Sneed inactive. Travis Homer is going to be inactive.
Yeah, you can find all this, by the way, over at Fantasy DFS Alarm right now.
I love this. Yeah, I love this setup that we have here.
Yeah, go to the weekly inactives. In the NFL drop down tools menu, and you can check out the full inactives as they've been released, as we mentioned already. And Coop was saying Tony Pollard is out, and McKissick is ruled out there for some big names. Travis Homer we knew was going to be ruled out for Seattle. We got word that obviously David Johnson, COVID IR list, he's going to be out for today. But we haven't seen much else. Maybe a little Jordan Humphrey being out is a name.
I was just looking at that one because that's interesting to me because they released Kenny Stills, and then they brought him back.
But I mean Tre'Quan Smith and Marquez Callaway certainly I think a little bit in play against the Jets this week. Tevin Coleman we knew was out. You can expect not only Ty Johnson potentially in that backfield, but Andrew Walter or Austin Walter rather has been somebody that's popped up a little bit. Not that you want to run against New Orleans here, and maybe Johnson a little bit more utilized in the passing game, but he is somebody that is also out for today. But I don't see any other sort of impact names here, Coop. So obviously, if anything breaks, we'll have it here for you. But we do have a few more questions to get to. I'll file a couple of minutes here in the chat. Let's see, what do we have here? Let's see, we did the AJ Green one. We did that one. Dolphins D was playing the Jets. Yep, that's definitely a good one. Mooney or Higgins? Our friend Home Run wants to know.
I mean, with the name Home Run, you got to go for the home run in T. Higgins. I mean, he's been so good. If he's playing, that means, And
it's another situation where if Higgins is inactive, you can always put in Mooney too because of the swap there. So
back-to-back games of 100 yards and a touchdown. It's like there's not much of that out there.
Yeah, they need competitive games to throw the football. So, good stuff there. And he had a big game against the Steelers as well. Eddie wants to know, half PPR Javonte or Sony Michel?
I'm starting Sony Michel. Everywhere I have some, there's not a league where Sony Michel is on waivers or on a bench this week. I feel you got to grab him and get him in your lineup because after what we saw last week with Henderson out, like this is the time, and there's going to be a lot of plays running this game. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams ran 70 or 80 offensive plays. Both are fast-paced offenses. The over-under for this game is over 50, against the Cardinals. So I think Sony Michel is pretty much in a slam spot. This team is a super highly consolidated offense. So
I would say the only way that would change is you have the benefit of waiting as well as when the inactives come out. If Melvin Gordon doesn't play, you play Javonte. So,
yes.
So you at least will know that information, and you should definitely be making sure if you're playing today. Wait for that Broncos inactive list to come out. Maybe put a Twitter notification or something like that for when those inactives get released. Because if Melvin Gordon doesn't play today, Javonte Williams full send.
Maybe RB1 overall, right? Against the Lions.
Honestly could be the RB1 overall.
That would be a crazy. I mean, it's like
if Melvin Gordon's, think about it this way: if Melvin Gordon's not 100%, right, and you're facing Detroit, and Detroit is missing almost their entire starting offense. Why play Melvin Gordon? Just play like if you're Denver. Why play a non 100% Melvin Gordon this week if you don't?
Why? But if you're Denver, why play either? You might as well just play Mike Boone and keep everybody safe.
Well, Boone's on COVID list, COVID IR. Mike
is he? Wow. So Javonte is super close to being like the slam spot. I mean, like you must have somebody awesome in the flex, Eddie. That's the real question, or unless this is a flex question, because both those guys are good starts. But I mean, Sony Michel is just he played. I think the he was right up there with Najee Harris for the highest snap share with Henderson out,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Home run guy wants to know, do we add Ramondre Stevenson and drop Tony Pollard rest of the season for the fantasy playoffs?
I mean, I think I honestly think about Tony Pollard. He was already, getting the worst half of a split. If he has torn plantar fascia that is causing him to not play this week, is that an injury that heals for next week? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know how that works.
I did see that. As weird as this sounds, I actually read, one of our fantasy Twitter doctors tweeted out that it's actually better that it's torn, apparently, than playing with I guess a strain or whatever other type of plantar fascia injury that could be there. It's actually better that it's torn. Because you sort of can just play through that, I guess, or something. So
it's not bothering you because it's already done.
Yeah, something like that, right? I have no, however
crazy.
it is. So kind of interesting, but yeah, he's not playing this week. So obviously there's maybe there's a sole insert or something they can put in the shoe to help him. But the one thing to note with Ramondre, the Patriots have a bye this week, but Damian Harris injured his hamstring in that game against Buffalo and came out. And they have the bye week. They have the bye week to heal, but come next week, Harris may be limited in practice. That we don't know how bad that hamstring injury is. He tried to come back. He had one big more run after that and pulled it again and took himself out of that game. So home run. I'm picking up Ramondre Stevenson for sure because we know the Patriots want to run the football. So
right.
If there's a balky hamstring going on with Damian Harris right now, for sure, pick up Stevenson there.
People that think this way, the Patriots in their championship week, playoff championship, Jacksonville. I mean,
at
it's
home. They're in New England against Jacksonville in championship week.
Come on up, Trevor.
Yeah.
Which they Belichick obliterates rookie quarterbacks. I mean, these guys are coming up into January 2nd in New England. That's going to be a frosty one. So
yeah, exactly. And then we have Deonta or Javonte today.
Based on the spelling, I think that's Javonte Parker.
But they're not playing, so
okay, so can't be. That's the only guy that's
type out who we're looking for.
Get some last names. There's 100 guys in the league named Javonte.
I don't know who these guys
I mean, the only one that spells it that way is Javonte Parker.
Right. And if it's Devontae Adams, you're of course playing Devontae Adams. Is it Devonta Freeman? But then who's the other one? Oh, is it Donta Foreman or it's probably Devon Freeman or Foreman, and my guess is the question here. But retype it to us if you can. But let's go into this assuming it's Foreman or Freeman. Where are you going?
I'm going Freeman. I mean, he's playing the bulk of the snaps, even with a healthy Latavius Murray. Foreman, we don't quite know. We know they do want to. We at least know to a certain degree they want to split it down the middle. Maybe not fully, but I mean they did split against the Patriots last time they played.
Right.
Whereas the Ravens, are pretty committed to Freeman, it seems. So, yeah. Which us Freeman truthers are rejoicing, man. 2 years late on that, John. But
yeah, no kidding. All right, 1 minute here, Coop. Give everybody maybe the one thing you're looking for. Again, you write the article, you got the video out. What's the one thing we should be paying attention to in this final week of the fantasy regular season for as we head into the playoffs?
I'll tell you right now, my theme this week is that whether you're in or out, this week is where you figure out if you can trust people or not. You need to cut your roster down to the guys that you're starting. There's no more bye weeks moving forward. So there's a lot of guys that are on that line of whether they're going to be trustworthy or not, so big one is Kyle Pitts, right? You got to figure out if you can trust this guy or not. This is the last week. Targets be damned. If he doesn't catch 4 more passes, can't trust him.
Right.
Christian Kirk, we talked about him before. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You know what I mean? I need to see Scantling. I don't care about 9-10 targets. That's great. I need him to get 6 targets today, right? So look at your guys that are on the bubble. If they don't get 6 targets or more today, then you can't trust them because you can't have someone give you a 2 or 3 because you're only facing really good fantasy teams now in the playoffs. Right. And even if that guy gets, if he gets 3 targets today, I don't care if next week he gets 8 because if the next week after that he gets 2, you're out. You know what I
Right.
mean? You need guys that can do it 3 weeks in a row. Bing, bang, boom. So this is what we're looking for this week. We need guys that have been doing well, like T. Higgins. Like we need them to string it together and show us they can do it every week, because it doesn't matter if they can do it 1 week now. They need to do
Yep.
it 3 weeks. So that's what I'm looking for.
I agree with you there. So that wraps it up, everybody. It's the 12 o'clock hour. Questions can continue over in the NFL Slack channel there. Dan Malin is in there answering everything that you guys got rapid fire, leading you into roster lock. If you need anything from Coop and I, make sure you check us out over on Twitter as well. You know how to get us in touch there. But for now, everybody, good luck, and let's get into the playoffs.
Let's go.